Welcome to the 2017 SportsTG training webinar recording. In this recording we'll be looking at just some of the basic functions of SportsTG and just seeing what you can do in terms of the competition system that we have for all FFE clubs. So we'll be going through, just the first few things we'll be going through is firstly the user guides and also how to access the system, and then we'll just branch off into a couple of the main functions of the system. So first and foremost, to find out information on how to access various functions on SportsTG, which to clarify is the competition management system we use for results entry, the team entry system, how to modify all your team lists, and various functions relating to that. It doesn't have anything to do with player registrations, but it's something that does link in when you register your players separately on MyFootballClub. So to get started, if you just head to the main FFE website, as you'll see here, we scroll down to Club HQ, which you'll be able to click on. It's also accessible through the main menu on the left-hand side on any of the headings on the FFE website. So Club HQ is for most of your club needs. The SportsTG button here on the top left will give you the main links to the information, and so this is where clubs can either log in, get access to the system, or access the user guides. So we'll get the user guides up now. You'll see here we've got 7 user guides up and running at the moment. They're the main ones that we will be covering mostly in this presentation, and you can download those as a PDF and read them or print them out at your leisure. Now the next part will be on how to access SportsTG. Now essentially what we are looking for is if you're a club user that you do not currently have an account for SportsTG, all you need to do is head to the login page, which is here, passport.sportstg.com. That will take you to this page here, and all we need to do is click register. So you can open a new tab if you want. If you type in all your details there, it will create you a passport, and I have created one for this presentation. And essentially it will send you to your nominated email address a confirmation link that you will need to click, and that will activate your email. You need to do that within half an hour, or else the system will need to re-register you again. So make sure that you do that within the time frame. Once you're in, you should be able to log yourself into the system. The next step is to either get a club administrator or FFV to give you access to a particular team or a club. You can be given particular team access if you like. However, that is only going to give you access to the team that you refer to. That information is also available here on the access page. So essentially, if you're a returning club official, you will still have access to SportsTG. It does not expire and will continue to roll over through into the new season. However, if you need to be given access, which is either of these two scenarios, either your club official can do it, or FFE can do that. So that's through a form on the website, and that will give you the access that you need to your particular club. So you fill in all your details, and basically with the FFA number and the access that you need, just on this link on the access page. And once you hit submit, the FFE competitions team will have a look at that for you and basically get back to you to get you sorted on the system. So once you've been given access, I'll be able to show you how to give other people access as well, so you can do it for more club administrators. Once you log in, you'll see 3 main functions here. Some people also have websites. That is also another function of SportsTG. We won't be covering that in this presentation, but it's also something you can be given access to upon request to the competitions department. Now, the 2 main areas that you will be needing to use is the membership database and results entry and live scoring. So once the season's set up, on a weekly basis, you'll mainly be going through results entry, and that will basically be for either team access users or for the entire club, or both. It is entirely up to you. There's no limit on the amount of people that can access the system. What we will do though is we will log into the club I've been given access to, which is just simply an FFE test club here. So when you click into your settings, you'll see that you've been given all these statistics about player numbers and all information about that club. We've got up the top here, we've got a link, a shortcut to that results entry and live scoring function from previously. There's the awards function. There's also team entry, which is only turned on. This function is only available for a particular time during the year. So make sure you check the 2017 team entry system, which is closing on March the 8th this year. However, obviously it will differ every season. And then also there's reports, which is a handy function as well. If you scroll your bar over to the right-hand side, you will see a cog in the right-hand side of the page, and that is basically your settings for SportsTG. So you've got a number of different functions you've got here, but user management is what you will need to be able to give people access to the system. So if you click here, you'll see that there's a number of people who currently have access. You'll be able to see when they last logged into the system. So quite clearly, this email that we've got here is for today's date, the 22nd of February, and you can either delete people from access, or you must add them to that list. So as an example, I can type in this email address here. The restricted access function isn't necessarily crucial. Essentially, you either give them club access or you give them team access, which I'll show you in a second. And it doesn't really make much of a difference if you tick that box or not. And you'll see right here that this additional email address has been given access to the system. Similarly, I can actually go in and delete that person from there if they're no longer at the club, and quite simply, they're no longer in that list. In order to do that for a particular team, you can log into the team section of your login. And as an example, if we click into just a random team for your club, it'll have very similar headings at the top, and similarly on the right hand side you'll be able to click this cog in the right hand side and click user management, and similarly you'll be able to give people specific team access so that when they log in to SportsTG to start off with, they will only have a team as opposed to a club, which you can see with this email's got access to. So we'll now move on to the team entry system. So at any time, if you do need to return to the main page, you can click on competitions, or whatever your name will be in the right-hand side. It will be whatever name you entered in at the start, and click straight back into the membership database from there. If you ever get stuck, that is always the way to go, and it will take you right back to the start. So the team entry system is basically built up of two main functions. We'll go through them right now. So in order to access it, you must go into Teams and click Team Entry. Once again, this will only be open for a certain number of weeks during the year, as you will only have sort of that window to actually enter in your teams for the 2017 season. So you'll see here there's two sections to team entry. There's either your nominations or requests. And currently what we have here, and I'll just zoom out so we can see everything in front of us, is essentially we have got the nominations tab consisting of the 3 existing teams that we've rolled over from the previous season. So this club fielded 3 teams in 2016 that wants to field again this year. And basically the first step is to confirm with FFV whether or not these teams will be running again this year. So you can click on the basic grid button and that'll actually bring you up a summary of what that information is, but it's only in text format, so you can't actually click any buttons here. So this is only for if you want to copy this information into a spreadsheet or just read it from start to finish. That's something you can do. However, you do need to have the advanced grid option open so that you can change the details. So the first thing you can do is expand and reduce the size of some of these columns so you can actually read the information here, because you'll see here that that's clearly for the Boys West 20A competition, but you can't see it all within that cell. So if you just put your mouse to the edge of the column heading and just drag it to the left, you'll see that that'll start to expand out and reduce that one. So just continue to do that until you can sort of see it to your satisfaction. You'll also be able to do that for the venue listing and also the preferred kickoff time, the home away preference, any comments you want to add as well, which you can certainly do. So you'll see that what we've got here is we've got a red team, a blue team and a green team, and we've got them at 2 different venues here. So if you wanted the 20A team to be at the same venue as your other 2 teams, all you would need to do is click once and then click again, and you'll be able to change the venue. So it brings up a drop-down list of every venue in the FFE database. And if you want to scroll down, you can also type on your keyboard MAC for McPherson, which is clearly what we want to do here, and if you will find it when you scroll down. So if you just left click on that, and you essentially can click out of that box, preferably either here to one of the settings that don't change, and once that turns green, that will allow you to, there we go, so it'll allow you to actually lock that information in. So now that team is officially going to be logged at McPherson Park within the team entry system. I can also change the kickoff time if I think that I want this team to play between these 2 teams. I can change this kickoff time again, the same process. These are all the kickoff times that we allow. Obviously, we'll review these. The FFE competitions team will review all those kickoff times that you submit. So we'll click on 12 o'clock. Again, just click out of the box so it does turn green. If it doesn't turn green, it means the information has not been saved. Now, the home away preference is essentially your way of telling us how you want your teams fixtured. If you want all of your teams at home on the same day, that you need to select the same preference for each of these 3 teams. Now, if we click into the options here, you'll see that's either home week 1, away week 1, or no preference. Basically, there's not too much difference between home or away week 1. If you have a preference to have the team split 50-50, as an example, we want this team at home, but the other 2 teams play away on that first week, or at the very least, what this means is the club will want the 20As to play at home on their own, but the 20Bs and the girls 7 Joeys will play together where possible. So that's what that means. And again, you can change it so that you can have them in the same grouping. And it doesn't make a difference if they're all away week 1 or all home week 1, but either way, it does tell us what you want from those teams. Now, if you've got a particular comment for these teams, so as an example, this girls team, you've still got an under 7s team in the girls, but the Joeys isn't going to be suitable. What you can do is request in the comments. So again, we've just clicked into this box and you type in a comment. So it could be move to a Wallabies League. And if you either hit enter or potentially just click out of it, that will save that information there. You'll see that even if you expand it out, your comment has been inserted there. It is important to keep that information as succinct as possible. If you type a whole sort of essay of information in there, it can be quite difficult for us to be able to access that info, and it doesn't always save properly. So just make sure that you do that. We've also got the date accepted. That will be something that you can't change. It'll just be when you change the status of the team, it'll automatically update that for record keeping purposes. Now, the most important part of nominations is the status, so the accept or reject status. At the moment, these teams are not accepted or rejected. They're essentially need to be confirmed, and once they are confirmed, that means that they will be essentially in our system properly. So if you have a team that all of a sudden you put this information in, but they've told you that they're no longer going to be a team, and you do not want to fill this team for 2017, you click rejected on this team, and that will turn green. Make sure that you absolutely make a definitive decision on that team before you leave this page, because as soon as we leave this page, that team will disappear and move into a lower section down here, and you won't be able to reset that information unless you email FFE competitions, which we'll be able to fix, but it is better that you make sure you've got that information correctly. Similarly here, I can accept this team and that will turn green. Now I'll just refresh the page just so we know where that information goes. So you'll see here that we've got one team left pending, and that team is the girls Sunday West 7 Joeys, which we didn't touch, we left that pending. If you click on the arrow here where it says current competition entry requests, you'll see there's a process section. You click into that, that'll collapse, and you'll be able to see that, okay, these are the teams that we have either rejected or accepted, and as before, quite clearly the 20As have been rejected and the 20Bs were accepted into the system. So again, you need to make sure that all those teams are in the system. So we'll accept that team for now, and when we hit refresh, go down to this section, it will appear there. So you've got the 3 teams, one of which you've rejected, the other 2 you've got in there, and we'll use that information to prepare fixtures. Now, if you've got any teams in this list, or any teams that aren't in this list that you're going to field for the season, of course, excepting Men's State League, which is not relevant to the team entry system. It's basically every other competition in community football. You just click on the Request tab. So this is for any other team that's not captured by those teams, and you'll have all these options to be able to use. There's also a scroll bar across, so you'll be able to change the home away preference, also the comments section as well. And it's the same fields as before, except that you need to now enter this in. So if we click on this option, these are all the options I can select for this team to be entered into the competition. So I want a Saturday Kangaroos boys team in the under-7s. And the venue, you can scroll all the way down, or you can type in. So our ground was McPherson Park for the other teams. Again, you can go all the way down and pick another venue if you want. So we'll just pick right or oval. The preferred kickoff time, so I want that team to kick off at 9:30, and if we scroll across again, you will need to use the scroll bar within the browser to just move over to the last 2 options. So we want home week 1, so we want it to be the same preference as the previous page, as the nominations, and we don't have any comments for this team, but you can put in any comments if you do have them there. So as soon as we're happy with that information, we'll again scroll over and just review it. Yep, that's all correct. We'll hit Submit Team Entry Requests. And you can enter up to 10 at any point in time. So if you need to enter in more than 10 requests, you will need to submit just the request section twice or more. If you collapse this heading, all those teams will be in the current section. They won't be processed until the FFE reviews your requests. But you'll see here that quite clearly we'll use these columns. This is our team in that league at that ground, and you can change this information if you want. You cannot change the status of that team until FFE reviews it. So those requests have all been entered, and you can delete requests as well. Instead of writing to FFE with the nominations, you need to write to FFE to reset any of these nominations. For requests, you can just simply delete that request and hit OK. As long as you do that by the deadline, FFE will not process that team. So that pretty much covers the team entry system, and we'll be moving on to the results entry function now. So the next part of the webinar is just the results entry and live scoring. So if I click into my membership database, all I'll need to do is bring up my particular club. Now once you click into that club, all you need to do is click into teams. Once you get to membership database, that will bring up the list of teams for that club in the current season. It won't include any requests that you've tried to enter through the team entry system, but once the fixtures have been released, those teams will start to populate here. So all we need to do is click the relevant sort of team portal, so the magnifying glass on the left-hand side of that team. We just click into that, and which we'll do. And you'll see here there's some details you can edit in, and there's just some information about that particular team. In order to pre-populate your team list, all you need to do is go under individuals for that team and click modify team list. So currently you'll see that there are some players in the system. All we need to do is add them in, and you can click save on that team. Similarly, if we want to get rid of some of the players, it won't stop them from being selected for that team on a particular day, but it will exclude them from the pre-selected list, so that every week, instead of manually re-entering the players every week for the statistics, you simply just automatically select that list, and these players will populate. So we'll just save that now. And as per before, we click on our name in the right hand corner. This time we want to go to results entry and live scoring. And we'll click through to the same club access. And it's a list of all the fixtures the club has. So you'll see if we click into the pre-game setting, essentially what these settings are. So pre-game is where you can pre-populate the list of players that are going to take the field for that match, and the post-game is where you enter in the scores after the match has completed. Do not use that game. It doesn't currently have functionality within the SportsTG results entry setting, so it is preferable just to use pre-game and post-game. So we just click into that. Basically what will happen is all the players registered to the club will populate. Now if that's just players registered to the team, we'll get the team players there as well. We'll note that the other 3 players that were in that section before were registered volunteers. They weren't actually players at the club. So that's something that if you just go auto-select players from a previous match in competition, because this is this team's first match of the year, that will not populate. But if this is round 2 or onwards of the season, all the players from the last game will show up. However, if we go players registered to this team, it will automatically take those 3 guys across. I can enter in numbers for those players if I want. Obviously it can't be the same number. I can select positions if I choose, and whether or not they're starting, whether or not they're the captain. And once I hit save, that information will then translate across into the post-game. You'll see I've selected 3 players there. If I was to remove 1 player and save it, it will now become 2. So if you go to post-game, so basically these are the fixture details for the game, and you'll see that basically we've got the full-time score at the very top, we've got half-time underneath. If there's any extra time or penalties, that will also appear. Also yellow cards, red cards, substitutions, if there's any more information that FFE needs, and also just checking the results at the bottom, which will also populate. So if we just enter in a score, so this team has scored a goal, we just have to click the add scorer. We can only select the players that have been selected for that match. Similarly, if we were to add one for this team, it's not going to pre-populate it with any of those existing players. And in fact, if you were to try and update that information, you do need to type in the result there. It will tell you that the player assigned to the normal goal must be from the same team. So clearly we've selected a player from the home team. So if we hit update match, now if you don't have any players selected for the opposition, that's okay. You can still type in a score at the top. You can also type in halftime scores and all of that information, and that can be added to at a later date. The key point is, of course, the full-time score. Number of competitions do require goal scorer information to be entered in correctly as well. So that's why it's important to remember that that pre-game list is pre-populated. If we hit update scores, that is now going to update as a 1-1 draw in that match, including this player as a goal scorer. And so that's pretty much all you need to do there for a results entry. And you'll also see, if you click back into the match list, that actually pre-populates there. You'll see it's a draw on our system. So as long as in the post-game section you can see at the very bottom that it's properly allocated a draw to both teams. Sometimes if there is a 1-0 result or something like that, it may not correctly pick up on that, so do make sure that that does reflect the right option. Otherwise, that is all pretty much all you are required to do.